I saw your note. That's all good. Oh, and God, we're live already. Good morning, everybody.
Good.
Welcome to the Daily Whatever Show. I'm Lawrence Winterman.
I'm Dana Dubois, and you just got a little sneak peek behind the scenes of our big editorial planning that we do before every single Daily Whatever show, which is like, okay, we're going live right now. You want to talk about this? Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you doing today, Bestie?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. What a weekend. What a life.
It is a
I'm pretty
really,
sure you saw my nose hair waxing and burning a black candle to banish.
I'm still laughing at that photo. I don't know what, wow. I feel like after 40 plus years, I just developed an even deeper understanding of you, Lawrence. And
I really should post a video of the actual extraction because there
no,
is a
ow,
giant pair of Milwaukee pliers that I use to grab onto the thing, and then I go, one, two, three, blah!
that must hurt so bad.
It doesn't. That's the astonishing thing. It is literally one of those like ripping the band-aid off things. It is so
Ow.
it's so fast the body doesn't register pain. And then it's over, and so there's like this weird tingling, and then I'm looking at the thing that's absolutely disgusting because it's covered with hair, but then I can breathe, and that is remarkable.
People you come for our news
You come for
takedowns,
the
but you
friendship and the
stay
political insights. You stay for the nose waxing.
the nose hair waxing. Ugh. All that said, yeah, it was a hell of a weekend. And yesterday, I think I between like content posts and notes, I was on Substack restacking and writing, and I just was like, this is a very it felt like a momentous day. A lot happened,
Yeah.
and we each had at least a couple of things happen that were kind of exciting. I thought we should talk about really quick before we bring on our very exciting guest, Bob
Yes.
Cesca, who is patiently waiting in the green room and probably wondering what he got himself into.
Seriously, he's like, what the fuck did I sign up for? Nose waxing and burning black candles? Jesus, get me out of here.
I know.
We'll make it
Well,
worth it, Bob. We're going to
we
talk about Star
promise.
Trek.
We promise. Lawrence, do you want to talk first about the campaign over at Blue Ant Media? Because I think this is
Yeah,
something
it's
everyone should
important.
hear about. Yeah.
Yeah, so along with Cliff Schechter and David Schuster and Ellie Leonard and Melissa Corrigan and our newest teammate Erica Vanover, Dana and I helped put together and sign a letter of demands that we as Blue Ant Media and that we think all citizens and journalists should sign on to, basically pushing back on. I keep trying to make Minnesota 4 catch on, but I'm not sure that it's working. But the four folks,
Mm.
Georgia Fort,
Stop trying to make
Jamel
Minnesota
Lundy,
for work. I'm just
Traherne
kidding.
Cruz, and Don Lemon, who were arrested on very trumped up, shall we say, charges. Like
Ah,
it's just an egregious violation of the First Amendment. It is absolutely anti-constitutional and a very clear warning sign, not only that they're willing to do anything to extend their power, but that it's all very clearly tied to voting and voter rolls and trying to get away with as much as they can before the November midterm elections. And so we have five demands in this letter that we're making: that all the charges be dropped against them, and we kind of escalate from there. We feel like everyone should sign, and so we've got
that
this letter at Blue Ant Media. We're asking people to read it. We're asking them to restack it and share it. Melissa Corrigan made a lovely Google form, and so if you agree with it and you want to co-sign it, you can submit your name and a comment if you want. And I am working feverishly behind the scenes to get that letter updated with everybody's signatures on it. We just feel like this is too crucial of a moment to like be silent, and we can't just post things. We've got to actually rally people into action.
I'm giving you all the snaps for this. Yes, yes, yes. Uh, every First Amendment right just came under fire Friday
Yeah.
with the press, assemble, speech, all of it. So when they start arresting the journalists, like, come on, y'all, we gotta step up. So please, if you are willing and able, go read, go put your name on this petition.
Yeah.
Really excited about just demanding accountability, right?
Right.
Yeah,
And it becomes, if we can get thousands or tens of thousands or, hundreds of thousands of signatures on it, it becomes a
yeah,
tool that we can use against our electeds, maybe not against, hopefully with our electeds
right.
to get them to do the right things, right? Like,
That's the hope.
Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, strongly worded letters from them are not where it's at anymore. They've actually, they've got to do things to get this administration in check. And it would be amazing if they could at least go to fucking Minneapolis and stand there on the front lines with,
Right.
the mayor and the governor and all of those brave people who every day in Minneapolis are literally putting their lives on the lines. We've seen that that's truly the case. So,
I love it. I
yeah,
love it, love it, love it. Yeah, so please sign your names to that.
yeah. And then you had big news. What was your big thing over the weekend?
I did. So I have launched a new creative project because what I need is another creative project, right, Lawrence? I've launched a new creative project called I Read Out Loud. It's not just the name of my personal publication, Dana Dubois Writes. It stemmed from two things. One was I've been writing now online for nearly 3 years, and it's kind of disparate and in all of these different locations. And the most consistent place where all my writing is on Medium, but that's behind a paywall. And I was like, I have been having, that was the first thing. Where can I put all of these together? And the second one was I just haven't been writing nearly as much over the last year because, well, everything going on in the world, right?
Right.
And it has been feeling navel gazy and irresponsible to write, to put out this creative memoir sort of writing when the world is on fire. And so this project is addressing both of those needs. One of which is I am putting everything on Dana Dubois Writes. I'm up leveling it. I have this kind of brand palette and graphic on everything. I am audio recording everything so it's accessible to people who prefer to hear versus read with their eyes and they don't want to hear a robot voice. I'm reading
Mm-hmm.
the stories, and in reading them out loud, I'm reclaiming them. I'm revisiting and reclaiming them.
Nice.
And also it's like an audacious, like defiant thing of like, yes, the world can be on fire and we still need art and we still need stories. In fact, I would say it's our stories that are going to save us. So today I launched the first story, and it's a new one. Sometimes it will be work from my archive because it's, I don't know, 150 stories to
Right.
port
A,
over.
a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stories. And the one today is brand new. So it'll be a combination of both. It's been interesting to see what works and what doesn't. I'm not loving how it looks. I'm realizing this morning when you put an audio file, even if you make it look nice. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
may need to mess with it a little, but it is called the men who still open me. And I would love if you would all read and restack this story. I'm publishing it to Dana Dubois Writes, which is far smaller than Gen XC, so it's a little bit of a slog up. But I don't feel like this all the memoir belongs on Gen XC. It belongs on my personal publication,
Yeah.
and I am planning to do this nearly every weekday. Nearly every day, there's going to be a new story, and I'm only saying nearly because I know me, and some days just might get away from me.
Right.
Doing the artwork and especially the audio recording takes time. And then I'm going to do a live that goes with each of them where I go behind the scenes a bit more. So I'm going
Nice.
to do that at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific today, the first one.
Wow. Okay,
I
everybody.
I know. So I'm really excited about this. You can probably tell I'm all like fired up that I feel like I finally sorted through something and figured out what I want to do. And I apologize for Kira, who is taking my big moment and being like, I need to bark.
I'm telling you, I don't think we even notice her anymore. Like she's
Yeah.
just the charming accompaniment to your speech sometimes.
I
Don't
do
worry
think
about
she
it.
I do think she needs to go outside. So I may have to step up in a moment and let her out. But before I do that,
Yes.
We should bring on our very
We
special
should absolutely
guest,
bring on our guest. Oh my
Bob
God, everybody, it's
Cesca, the Bob
Bob
Cesca
Cesca. What
Show.
is up, Bob?
Hello, good morning, good morning. Hi,
Good
hi. It's
morning.
so great to be here, Lawrence and Dana.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Welcome,
being
welcome.
here.
We don't usually have this much to share first thing in the morning, so thank you for your
Right.
patience. We just
Oh,
had
that's okay.
big weekends, nose hairs and news stories and saving democracy. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. It's hopefully saving democracy is not as painful as waxing nose hairs.
Yeah, again, I'm gonna
But
say maybe it's just like one good yank, and then it's over before you even notice the pain.
oh
That'd
my
be a great
God,
way to fix our democracy.
no kidding.
FBI, read into that metaphor whatever you wish.
Oh my God. Oh my God, Lawrence, don't get arrested.
Right, right. Yeah, it's
You all are
mysteriously I'm not here
taking,
tomorrow.
you're taking a small walk with me. Don't mind while I go dark in my kitchen as I let this
Yeah,
barking
well, why
dog
don't we
out,
let
Bob, because
Bob
she's driving me
in,
crazy.
oh, this
introduce
is
himself to the
fun.
crew?
Yeah.
Hey, Bob, just in case there's inconceivably anybody in our audience who doesn't know who you are, go ahead and introduce yourself to the crew.
All right, yeah, I'm the host of the Bob Cesca Show. It's a very creative name. I know it's took me
Be
a long
weird if
time to
someone
come up
else
with
were
the
the
title for my
host.
podcast. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I host maybe 3 dozen different podcasts. I don't know. I don't know which. Am I on? Yes, I guess I'm on this podcast. Sometimes I have to double check which podcast I'm on because I do so many. But
Right.
I also do a podcast called Trek Politics with Mary Trump, where we talk about
So
all
good.
the political allegory in Star Trek, and so that's a nice sideline from the existential fear and terror of our daily politics. So, but yeah, and you can find all those podcasts wherever you get your podcasts: trekpolitics.com, bobcescashow.com.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
I gotta admit, I already adore you and Mary Trump, but the fact that you're doing a show together on Star Trek
yeah.
is like beyond next level cred for me.
Oh, thank you.
I caught the recent one that you guys did where you talked about "Let This Be Your Last Battlefield," the one with the race that's half black on one side and half white on the other, and there's kind of two versions of them that are
Yep.
switched, and they, the very very transparent allegory for race in
Right.
early Star Trek.
Yeah.
So good, such a good
Yeah.
show. Everybody should go check it out
Thank
for
you.
the love of Trek.
Oh my gosh. I'm an Next Gen fan, and that's kind of the only show I really went deep on. So if we're gonna get into Star Trek, Lawrence is more your guy for the original. We're both are very big Next Gen fans, and I think you've watched them all, right, Lawrence? You've gone like,
I Discovery kind of missed me with like I think there was something about when it was on or how it was streaming or something. I think maybe I didn't have a Paramount subscription or something at the time.
Yeah.
And so Discovery's the only one that I'm like, and now Academy, Starfleet Academy is now out on Paramount, and I do
Yes.
not have a Paramount subscription right now, so I'm kind of hating myself for not watching it, and also I don't know.
Yeah.
What about you, Bob? You've seen all of them, I'm assuming.
Oh yes, yes, and I like you. I'm a Next Generation guy.
Yeah,
That was my Star Trek series. That's the one I'm most familiar with. I mean,
right,
obviously, I love all of Star Trek. So just to be clear about where I stand,
right.
but when it comes to Next Generation, that's my thing. That's my tone of voice. I mean, I am a
yes.
Jean-Luc Picard fanboy
Yep.
in more than
Same.
just the pew 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 aspect of Star Trek.
This is me.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Morally, ethically, professionally, in terms of integrity, that's my
Yeah.
guy. That's my captain. So, but yeah, I mean, that's not to preclude the other shows. I mean, I'm actually kind of enjoying Starfleet Academy right now.
Nice.
There was one episode that wasn't my favorite, episode 3, the one with the rivalry with the War College, but the first 2 episodes, I thought the pilot was outstanding. The first episode was outstanding. The most recent episode in fact, at least, yeah, I would say 3 out of the 4 episodes have some solid politics going on in there. Second
Nice.
episode had, world building and diplomacy happening. The fourth episode had a debate competition going on, which I thought was amazing. And so, yeah, it's a good show so far. It's not, you know what it is? If you like the show Cobra Kai,
Right.
It's basically like that level of young adult tone combined with a legacy setting, so to
Right.
speak.
Cobra Kai in space.
Yeah, Cobra Kai in space, exactly right.
With,
When
with
they are
familiar
in
familiar
space and not,
set
yeah.
design and uniforms and ships and stuff.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Nice.
It's basically, for those of you who don't know, Starfleet Academy is set 1,000 years after the original series because of a gigantic time jump in the midst of Star Trek Discovery. But you don't need to know that sort of thing when you go in to watch it. And I always say when it comes to Star Trek, you can jump in on any series and it stands alone. I mean, obviously, you won't get some of the little Easter eggs and some of the lore aspects of it, but you could start any place. If you're really into the campiness of the original series, that's a good place to start. Next Generation, I always say, start at sort of somewhere in season 3, and you can be pretty comfortable from that point forward. Season 1 and 2 are a little bit dodgy. I love some of the episodes in those first 2 seasons, but it may be a lot for people to digest. Like, they start at season 1 of Next Generation, they're gonna be like, what is this? Everyone's been talking about how great this show this is, and
that's 100% true. I remember watching that first episode of Next Gen and being like, "Oh no, oh no."
Yeah. Yeah, it took a little while. I mean, that was at a time when there were, of course, 20, 25 episodes a season, and a show could really be allowed to find its audience and find its tone. It didn't need to. There wasn't such desperation to have its voice established from the first scene, and so that's kind of what happened with the Next Generation. It took a couple of seasons, and in fact, I hate to put it this way, but it actually took Gene Roddenberry's death for the Next Generation to kind of find its place, because
that's kind of true.
Yeah, in a way, he was holding back the drama by insisting that none of the characters disagree, that everyone gets along, and that was kind of, disagreement, impediments, are part of establishing dramatic tension.
Right, it is story. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right.
That's
and
so
interesting. And in fact,
interesting.
the first season of Next Generation has, I think, the worst Star Trek episode ever made, which is an episode called Code of Honor, which is horrendously racist. And I think unintentionally so. But when you go back and check out the first season episode Code of Honor, it's very early on in the run of the show. It's painful to watch. So if you're new to Star Trek, jump over 1 and 2. If you want to start anywhere, Best of Both Worlds Part 1 is probably a good place to start at the end of season 3, and you'll really enjoy it. So there's my marketing pitch for Star Trek: The Next Generation from 35 years ago or something.
Right. Is Best of Both Worlds the one where Picard gets the thing in his brain and he lives the whole life on the planet that's dying?
No,
that's called The Inner Light, which is
Inner Light. That's it.
Yeah, often cited as the greatest episode of Star Trek ever, and I would argue that it's probably in top 2 or 3 best episodes of Star Trek.
Favorite.
Yeah, it's just so emotional, and
I literally
the music
wept. I still cry at the end. Right, and the tune, the music. Yeah. Oh my God, it's just so well done.
Yeah, The Inner Light is fantastic. Best of Both Worlds is where the Enterprise, it's the second time the Enterprise encounters the Borg, and the Borg kidnaps Jean-Luc Picard and assimilates him to become Locutus of Borg.
Locutus of Borg. Okay,
yeah.
I love that
And it
one.
ends in Disaster, the Wolf 359 attack, and the decimation of Starfleet. And because Picard is then a Borg and knows all the strategies of the starships and their captains. So it's a two-parter, very dramatic, very exciting, and often cited as one of the best Star Trek two-parters.
Yes, when they get him back finally and they extract him from the Borg and they say, "How do you feel?" and he says, "Almost human."
Yeah,
I think I'm remembering that correctly.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. Well, that's one of my favorite. I have 2 favorites ahead of it, so it's top 3. If we have to nerd out a little bit, what Tapestry? I mean, the one where, actually, that's just my favorite one, Tapestry.
Yeah. Oh my God, why do I not remember that one, Dana?
Oh, you know this one, Lawrence. This is the one where Picard dies at the beginning because his heart the fake heart he has malfunctions, and Q takes him and says, I'm going to like sends him back to when he, like the day before he gets in the fight where he gets stabbed in the chest.
Right.
And says, if you can avoid the knife and keep your heart, I'll let you live. And so, you know, old man Picard's spirit is embodying his young, feisty self, and he's wiser. And, you know, he comes with all of this gravitas, and he manages to avoid the fight so that he doesn't lose his real heart. And Q says, congratulations, you get to live. And when he comes back, he's not captain. He's like second lieutenant in charge of something, something.
Right.
And he says, you never confronted your mortality. So you never became the person and the leader who you were in the other timeline. And he said, send me back. I'd rather die in that timeline than live in this one. And so he sends him back in time, and Picard takes the knife to his chest. And Q is so impressed by his courage and his determination that he lets him live anyways, because he's such a whimsical, naughty little omniscient being.
Right.
And then he has that great line at the end where he says, when I tried to like weave some threads of my early life, like to restitch threads from my early life that I wasn't proud of, I unwove the whole tapestry of who I became.
It's a Wonderful Life, essentially. It's the the final act of It's a Wonderful Life.
Right. It's a Wonderful Life in space.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yanni is saying in the chat, the Borg Queen is still a weird yes for me. Okay, Yanni, speaking as like a Kinsey Six, I kind of get it. She was hot. She probably comes with some great attachments, like.
And then the question becomes, which Borg Queen? The one from First Contact? There's one in maybe the same actor, Alice Krige, playing also the Borg Queen in Voyager, and then there were a couple of Borg Queens in Picard for sure.
Yeah.
So there are many Borg Queens.
I feel like Alice Krige is like my one and only original.
Right.
Oh, and Jason in the chat is saying, I only signed up for one autograph session on the cruise, and it was John Delancey who plays Q. Good call. He's amazing. Yeah. And I'm going to really date myself with this, but when I was very, very young, Dana, I used to watch the soap opera Days of Our Lives with my mom, and he was Eugene on Days of Our Lives before he was Q.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like the only like wacky, weird character on this very like, but I love you, soap opera. So I've always loved John Delancey. So full support.
He's great. He's really exceptional in Breaking Bad. He has a very, very dramatic story arc on Breaking Bad that is a must see. He is really, really good and a very tragic character for sure.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Breaking Bad remains one of those shows that I know I need to go watch it, and I haven't yet. And at this point, I'm kind of like, but it's going to be hundreds of hours of TV.
Yeah, it is. But it's glorious. I mean, I have the same thing with The Wire. Every time we talk about TV on my podcast, someone says, hey, you should watch The Wire. And I know, it's on the list. I still have to watch The Wire. So I have to finally check that one out because I've heard so many good things about it.
Yeah.
I feel like one day I'm going to be injured or ill, and I'm going to need to like slow my life down a lot. And I have endless hours. It's embarrassing the number of shows and movies that I haven't seen. And so those are two big ones for me as well, Bob.
Sure.
I'm going to shift the topics similar but different. How did you know that Mary Trump was a Star Trek fan? Like, I saw that that you have that show together, and I was like, how did this come to be? Can you tell a bit of that origin story?
That's a great question. Mary had been a listener of my podcast for a while, and we connected on social media, and then I started having her on as a guest on my podcast. And there was one Wednesday where we were talking on the show, and somehow the conversation just ended up on Star Trek, as it often does with nerds.
As it does. Or Simpsons. Like,
exactly.
Of our generation, it's like, are we going to talk Star Trek or Simpsons to ground ourselves in pop culture?
Yes, right. Yeah, there's always a connection. So no matter what the conversation is you can link it back to either Star Trek, The Simpsons, or Seinfeld. Somehow those three things always end up coming up. But yeah, we started talking about Star Trek, and in fact, in the context of that conversation about Star Trek, we kind of said, you know what, we should do a Star Trek podcast. Just on my show, we were talking about this, and so we kind of brainwashed the whole idea for Trek Politics on my show, and this was back in 2023. And then in I want to say May, June of 2023, we started the show and decided to cover the political allegory, which is, to me, the central through line of Star Trek is its cultural, political commentary. And that's been across all the series. It's always, let's put this to bed, Star Trek has been woke from day one. To be clear, it's always been woke, and that's a fact. And I think one of the inciting incidents is for Mary and I to do a politically themed Star Trek show was an article on FoxNews.com written by this guy, this reporter for Fox News named David Marcus. Those of you who are familiar with the Star Trek movies in the 70s and 80s know the name David Marcus as Captain Kirk's son. But this guy, no relation, no reference to that character, just happened to have the same name. He wrote this piece on FoxNews.com where he's going, why is Star Trek suddenly woke? And it so pissed me off because, like, well, that shows you know nothing about, what are you talking about? Star Trek, complaining about Star Trek being woke is like complaining about Star Trek being set in space. It's like the main thing about the show, apart from the fact that it's set in space. So that article and the conversation Mary and I had, we started doing the show in, as I said, May or June of 2023. I forget exactly when. And we did, I think, 6 or 7 episodes. We interviewed a bunch of the actors from Picard season 3, Todd Stashwick, Jerry Ryan, Tim Russ, Terry Matalas, who was the showrunner on Picard seasons 2 and 3, also Enterprise. And so what happened was we ran up against the writer-actor strike that summer. They went on strike right in the middle of us doing the show. And so we ended up putting the show on hiatus. And because of life and other things happening, we kind of stopped doing the show for a while because, you know, just other scheduling conflicts and things like that. And then this past summer, we met up at Star Trek Las Vegas, which is the big annual Star Trek convention, and decided to start the show up again, and we've been doing that since August of 2025.
I love it. Oh, what happened?
Oh, there we go. Lawrence is like, I don't want to hear about this Star Trek crap anymore.
No, I was so into it, and then like literally everything froze on my computer, and I was like, no.
No.
Right.
Yeah, Substack is like a science, but also an art. Going live on
A little bit of witchcraft, yeah, for sure.
Patreon is like that too. I do a lot of this kind of stuff, the live streams and so on Patreon, and it's always a crapshoot as to whether or not it's going to work.
That's so interesting, and I want to hear about that. I'm making a note of like, I want to hear about Patreon versus Substack because I have not explored that world yet. But Mary Trump fascinates me. I actually wrote to her like months ago about like, you should come on our show. One of those like moonshots when we were very new, because we have a few thoughts that we keep circling back to, kind of guiding principles on the show. And one of them, one of our guests actually gave us, was she was here. It was your weirdo friend. They said this administration is domestic violence at scale, or domestic abuse at scale.
Yeah.
And I think about Mary often of, I see parallels to myself with her because I have a like very challenging father figure who reminds me a lot of Trump. He has dementia and lives in a memory care, and they still kind of look and sound alike, and I'll just say that. But in life, another New York guy, big, dominant, narcissistic, angry, really hard presence to grow up with. Yeah. And I moved 3,000 miles away and have made a very concerted effort in my life not to let people like that in. And now I think for many of us, there is this sense of, I got away from that sort of abuse, and now that abuse is running the world, and I can't get away from it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And boy, is that a topic I would love to dive into with her. Have you ever spoken with? How much have you spoken with her? I'm sure you have, about what it feels like in her body to have this. He's like the uncle you don't want to invite to Thanksgiving anymore.
Yeah.
Right,
And
except
then
he's president.
he's
It's been such
everywhere.
it's been a real struggle for Mary throughout both of these periods of time with her uncle as president. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I always compare it to like the Eye of Sauron, you know, in Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings, kind of shining that spotlight down and looking around and spying on people. And Mary is right in the midst of that spotlight. I mean, she couldn't be any closer to that world as an enemy of that world. And so I can only imagine the amount of fear and trepidation she has to deal with on a daily basis, thinking, when's the other shoe going to drop? I mean, she's already been sued for hundreds of millions of dollars by Donald Trump because of her participation in that New York Times piece about Donald and Fred Trump and their financial schemes and green mailing and things like that. So it's torturous for her, and she has dealt with a lot of personal anxiety and just a lot of sadness and fear. And fortunately, she has recently gotten married, so she's
Oh,
very
I saw that.
happy in a new relationship. And I couldn't be more thrilled for her because she deserves that happiness. Because despite the fact, and this is the big headline with Mary, is her bravery and her
Yes.
courage in the face of being that close to such a horrendous tyrannical monster. And she has continued to endure, continued to push back against him, despite being so incredibly visible and under constant threat of retribution. So yeah, I'm constantly in awe of her bravery in the face of significant adversary. Adversary, yeah. What am I talking about?
Adversity?
I don't know,
Yeah.
lost
Adversity.
the
Yeah,
word.
you were nearly you got it. Adversity.
Adversity. Thank you.
Yes, you used the word awe, and that's exactly it.
Yeah.
To not just distance oneself from family, but to try to stop him. Like she really tried hard
Yeah.
to stop him from winning, especially that's for the second time.
Yeah,
I saw her, and to go through all that and put yourself on the line like that and have it fail, and then to know he's rising back to power with this vindictive streak. Like
Yeah, and when's the other shoe going to drop? I mean, I can't even imagine that. I mean, I think a lot of us think that way just in general, and we're not even that close to being on the retribution list with Donald.
Yeah.
And so, and she's right there. I mean, she's got to be maybe you know, in the top 20 people who are constantly being threatened and harassed by the MAGA militias and fanboys and so forth, in addition to Donald himself. So it's a real struggle. And I think when we kind of think, well, are we going to be next? Are we going to be on that retribution list in some way? Mary is within point blank range, and it's. I sometimes worry about her, but you know, she's a tough cookie, and I think she can take it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is terrible. Like, I think all of us now live with some level of anxiety of like, oh, is the stuff that I'm saying going to get me a surprise IRS audit or a weird visit from the FBI, right? But like literally, she's right there in the immediate blast radius, and every day it's got to be like, oh, what, you know, my taxes have to be meticulous because otherwise I'm kind of guaranteed an audit.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. It's God. I think we all spent. I know I did a lot of last winter trying to tie up any loose ends just in case. Like, what happens if I get sued? What happens if I get audited? What happens this? And trying to protect my online footprint and get my address taken out of search results and getting some form of liability insurance and so on. These are all preparations that we had to make for dictatorship, which is where we are right now. I mean, this guy, whether you want to call him a fascist, a Nazi, an authoritarian, he is a dictator. I mean, I think that is absolutely applicable to the Donald Trump presidency. So when you're facing a dictator in what ostensibly is still a democracy, and you have some sort of visible presence online, you never know when, again, that eye of Sauron's going to flash its light right on you.
Yeah.
And, any of us who have been online for any length of time have faced similar things where I know I've had a few cease and desist orders sent to me over the years.
You've made
threats
it.
of, oh, yeah. When you're online long enough and you have an online presence where you're actually using your real name attached to everything you say, it's only a matter of time before you become a target. And so, fortunately for me, that targeting has not been significant, but I still have a presence. And so I always worry not just about myself, but the people who I consider to be friends who also have some visibility. So it's just a process of protecting your own ass and making sure that you're not vulnerable in case that Eye of Sauron latches onto you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that really rattled me and also emboldened me about the arrests on Friday. We all know about Don Lemon, like prominent journalist, now independent, but was on CNN, so very mainstream household name.
Mm-hmm.
But the other three arrests were symbolic, right? We had an indie journalist. We had Georgia Fort, who, 3-time Emmy award winning, but kind of, I won't compare her to a mid stacker, but in terms of the general journalistic ecosystem, someone far smaller and more independent. And then we had Traharnji's crew. I hope I'm saying their name right, but total activist, co-founder Black Lives Matter. And then we had Jamil Lundy, running for office. So we had a politician. It was like a 4-pack of like, if you do any of these things, and these are vital roles in protecting democracy, we're going to arrest you in spite of not being allowed to. Like, federal judge had already ruled no, and they're like, doesn't matter, we're still going to arrest you. So I know Don Lemon is out. Are the other 3 out? Didn't check that as of this morning. Were they still?
Well, they're all out on bail. Yeah.
All on bail. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. That is good to know. But that was deeply rattling, and I know, like, we're probably on lists somewhere, but we are relatively small. I can't imagine what it feels like to have Trump as your last name, and to be a close relation, and to be like, I cannot get out of that. Like, you can't go on some service and remove your address from the internet. You're a Trump. So
right.
Pass along that I have huge admiration for her courage, or like, we all do. Everyone here in the chat does. In fact, Jason made a very funny quip. One of our regulars commented, she's probably the only Trump not in the Epstein files.
Yes. Yeah. You'll never find Mary's name anywhere close to the Epstein files for sure. Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. Our friend of the show, Ellie Leonard, is really adept at looking into the Epstein files, and made an observation that of Trump's cabinet and inner circle, 37 names, including Trump, are in the Epstein files, which is, like, the statistical correlations there are pretty high. That the entire administration is corrupt and, pedophiles or pedophile protecting, and fuck them all.
Yeah, there's a lot to be derived from this latest tranche of Epstein files.
Yeah.
Horrifying, like Rob Zombie horror movie style stories in these documents.
The whole Calendar Girls thing.
I thought you were going to say Rob Zombie was in the files.
No. Rob Zombie is not the. They're just. I mean, we're talking about murder. We're talking about beatings. We're talking about. A body accusations of bodies being buried on Donald Trump's golf course in California, the vast horror show that is that horrendous oligarchy subculture, that sex trafficking, rape subculture.
Right.
That I think I was talking about this on my live stream on Patreon yesterday, where reading about this stuff reminds me a lot of the Liam Neeson movie Taken, where his daughter in that movie is kidnapped and forced into this human sex trafficking underground that is patronized by oligarchs, by wealthy people.
Yeah.
And that, obviously, a lot of truth to what was portrayed in that film. And this is a situation where since this latest election, since the 2024 election, I've been going hardcore on the Democrats becoming the party of economic populism, being the anti-oligarchy party, and making that sort of the centerpiece of the sort of post-Donald Democratic Party. And one of the reasons why that's so important is what we're seeing playing out in the Epstein files, because quite clearly this was established as a sexual rapist playground for oligarchs, for very wealthy socialites, political figures, celebrities, and so on. And that needs to be torn down brick by brick. And I don't care how it's done. I mean, I've been talking about for a couple of years now the idea of a 90% tax bracket for billionaires, for really yanking ourselves out of the dominance of oligarchs. Because if you think about it in these terms, it's a situation where they are invincible. Someone like Elon Musk is absolutely invincible to accountability. You think in a million years, the Department of Justice, if it ever is commandeered back in the name of the rule of law, that the Department of Justice would ever be able to take down a trillionaire? Elon Musk could spend $100 billion on his own personal defense. And this goes for lawsuits as well. And he would still have $900 billion as far as his net worth goes. That level of invincibility should not exist in society, in our culture. In our business world. So this is the sort of thing that not just from an income equality point of view, not just from a fair taxation, progressive taxation point of view, but also from the perspective of, good Lord, these guys have so much cash that they can pay to rape and possibly even murder girls and get away with it. And that has to stop. We can no longer exist as a democracy. We can no longer exist as a culture as long as that is going on.
I'm a hard agree on all of that. And, you know, does it ever, like, I find myself recently, like, I've got moments where I just kind of sit in, like, I don't know, like, fucked up mind boggledness where I'm like, okay, wait, so we've learned about all of these horrors visited the hands of Epstein and the oligarchs, and we've learned that Epstein got placed on the Trilateral Commission, and we've learned that one of his biggest funders is a Rothschild. Like, is it crazy to anybody else that all of the wackadoo conspiracy theories that sort of got whispered at the edges of society kind of as we were growing up, like, it's all true, but it's all the fucking Republicans and the oligarchs.
Yeah, the Republicans have done a great job deflecting all of their worst deeds onto their enemies.
Yes.
That's the crazy thing about it. I mean, our friend Cliff Schechter has been talking about for as long as I have known him. He used to go on the Young Turks with Cenk Uygur and do a segment every week called Republican Sexcapades, because this has been the through line. I mean, almost every day you can open up the news and see another story in which some sort of Christian conservative Republican has been caught in a child porn allegations, or been pleaded guilty to child rape and all of these things. This occurs on a regular basis, and more often than not, it ends up being one of these Republicans, because the secret is they loathe their own behavior. They're terrified by their own behavior. And then they are able to deflect that off onto, or project that onto their enemies as a way of coping with it, or making sure that they don't personally get caught, that other people don't see how horrendous and terrifying they are in private as well as in public in many cases. So, that's been the strategy all along. It's not us, you know, it's Tom Hanks in the basement of Comet Ping Pong, and that's everything. Hillary Clinton in the basement of Comet Ping Pong, even though Comet Ping Pong doesn't have a basement. And, you know, this is the strategy.
The secret basement, Bob.
Yes, the secret
You think they don't have a basement, they just haven't let you in on it.
Right. It has a basement as much as the Alamo has a basement.
In the basement of the Alamo. You know, like it's become a trope, right? Like every time these days you hear about, like, somebody was arrested for, you know, child porn or child molestation or child rape. And it's like, okay, well, were they a youth pastor at a
Right.
conservative Christian church,
Right.
or a MAGA coach on a on a youth sports team? Like, there are just
Hmm.
certain profiles that recur again and again,
Yeah.
and it's them
Right.
projecting.
Right. And you could expand the list to Matt Gaetz and Jim Jordan. I mean,
Yep.
you can do
Yeah.
a name game a mile long. We could be sitting here naming Republican rapists and predators all day long. And to come up with and then of course MAGA will always say, well, yeah, what about Bill Clinton? They'll say, well, yeah, what about Bill Clinton? You can name one.
Right.
Yeah, congratulations. We can
And
do this all
literally
day, meantime.
every Democrat, every
Right.
person on the left that I know is like, hey man, if Bill Clinton is in the list, fucking hang him, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like if one of ours is in the list, burn him.
Yeah.
All
We don't.
pedophiles
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
into
weird.
jail.
I had my Obama and my Clinton like flags flying off my car and stuff, and now they're kind of I have them all around my house. I'd have to take them down if they're no, we don't do that.
Right.
We
Yeah,
don't.
right. Well, it was
We're
also,
not in
I
like the
assume
fan
Hillary
club.
Clinton, which she had nothing to do with any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, the whole idolatry thing is not a democratic style.
right.
We like to hold our leaders accountable. So yeah, if they're in the
Yeah, but
files,
to a fault. I'm sorry to interrupt,
yes.
Dana, but that's
No,
almost
no.
to a fault where
Yeah.
we absolutely hold our people accountable. And a great example of that, I think the example everyone thinks of is Al Franken,
Al Franken,
who was
of
doing
course.
incredible work in the United States Senate.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
there was one photograph where he was pretending to grope someone else who was on a USO flight with him and didn't actually grope her, to be clear, but it was just a photo in which he was miming that process. He was forced to resign, not by
Yeah.
Republicans, but by Democrats, saying, okay,
Yeah.
you know what? We have to be consistent on this. So, yeah, you got to go,
I
Al. And it's a shame that it happened, that it turned out that way. But yeah, we hold our people accountable. That's for sure. And the great irony is the Republicans have always identified as being the party of personal responsibility,
Right.
which is just hysterically ridiculous at this point because that obviously
Right.
doesn't happen.
and the
Well,
party of low government spending and
Right.
same.
Oh yeah. There's so many contradictions on the Republican side for sure.
And Bob, you wrote about one recently with the whole, Alex Preddy killing in Minneapolis.
Second
This
Amendment.
fact that apparently also the Second Amendment stuff is, it's good for us, but not for you, kind of thing, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
if we carry guns to a rally, a-okay. If you guys carry guns to a rally, be prepared for murder.
Oh yeah, it turns out the Second Amendment isn't for all Americans.
Right.
The Second Amendment is just there to protect Republicans. Because
Right.
if
It's
you're a
not even-
Republican, own as many firearms as you want, carry the firearms however you want. But if you're someone who's opposing ICE or CBP, for example, no, you're not allowed to conceal carry with or without a license. And Alex Preddy had a license to conceal carry. So he was well within the law. And by the way, a law that I'm sure a majority of Republicans absolutely pushed through with the help of the for-profit retail firearm industry, which is a thing we always need to make sure to mention, that the NRA and its exploitation of the Second Amendment is all about selling as many guns as possible. The NRA is a lobbyist organization there to protect a retail industry, to make sure that that retail industry is perpetually profitable.
Yep.
That's what
Yes.
that's all. It's not about your rights. It's not about your liberties. It's
Right.
it's about selling as many firearms as possible. That's why they want to arm the teachers. That's why they
Yes.
want everyone to own a firearm. It's one of the reasons why the AR-15, the Sandy Hook weapon,
Yep.
is the most popular rifle in the country right now. There are more AR-15s in circulation in the United States than there are human beings in the United States,
It would be
and that is
like-
a utter tragedy. So
It
that's
would be like
but-
if there were, sorry, Bob, if there were an organization that promoted heroin use, right?
Yeah.
Because the syringe and needle maker, industry needed to keep their profits up because they weren't selling enough needles and syringes. Like
Right.
it's so blatantly connected to that, that it's gross, and they trade in death because the more guns and the more hands and more people means more people are going to die.
Yes, yes, and of course we saw right after the murder of Alex Preddy, the execution of Alex Preddy,
Yep.
that Kash Patel, Donald Trump, oh, he should have been concealed carrying firearms. So I guess the overall point that I've been trying to make since that happened is, I guess there are exceptions. The Republicans do support exceptions to the Second Amendment, which is an argument we've been making for decades now.
Yeah.
Certainly an argument that Ronald Reagan made with his support of the assault rifle ban.
Bill, yeah.
And so I think this is a sensible position to take. We're not, no one on very few, I should say, members of the Democratic Party are there to seize firearms. Turns out it's the Republican president and one of his goon squads that seized a firearm from a law-abiding, gun-carrying citizen. We always hear, okay, the Democrats are a bunch of gun grabbers. Barack Obama's coming for our guns. Joe Biden's coming for our guns. Kamala Harris is coming for our guns. Turns out Donald Trump's coming for our guns. Donald Trump, one of his guys, seized, confiscated a firearm. Someone who wasn't brandishing that firearm was only carrying it legally. So that's, okay, so if we're going to make exceptions for concealed carrying firearms by a licensed firearm owner, then why can't we have national background checks, bans on internet sales, bans on ghost guns, and 3D printing of firearms? And you would do the list all day long. Basically regulate firearms the way we regulate cars and drivers, which is through
have insurance.
Strenuous regulations.
How about there's a serial number on every fucking bullet, right? On every piece of ammo that gets sold. You know, serial number on your gun, serial numbers on your bullets, like everything's traceable. I mean, I get that the right has forever said, we can't do that because that allows the government to hunt down the people who own guns and take them.
What did they just do? That's what Donald Trump just did. Yes. Alex Preddy was hunted down because a couple of days earlier, he was in an altercation with, I think, ICE agents or CBP, one or the other. And there's a theory that he was targeted when he was finally executed. They identified him and then assaulted him, disarmed him, and then shot him in the head, then backed off and poured more rounds into his lifeless body. That was a targeted attack on Alex Preddy. And in the name, or at least partially so, in the name of seizing his firearm.
Yeah.
So if Donald Trump wants to support exceptions to the Second Amendment, if Kash Patel wants to support more regulations of Second Amendment rights, we're all on board. And in fact, not to get too far off topic with this, but the same goes with Citizens United. Because one of the things Donald Trump has been screaming about, which I think the Department of Justice is for some reason going to begin investigating, is this notion that all of the protesters are paid agitators. They're being financed. They're being given a salary to go out and protest against ICE and the Trump regime. And I always thought if that were the case, and I don't think it is, I don't think that's going on. But if that is the case, I thought money equals speech. I thought investment into politics and political activism is a protected constitutional right based on the conservative decision of Citizens United. Since that was handed down, that the centerpiece of that ruling was money equals speech. Investment in politics is speech. So therefore, if money is being invested in these protests, fine. If Republicans, if Donald Trump, if Kash Patel, if Pam Bondi want to get on board and help us to overturn Citizens United, please do. We'll welcome the bipartisan support for getting rid of that horrendous Supreme Court decision.
Yeah. Bob,
we're almost at time, and we have our question
share
list.
mine sometimes.
We do. But before we even get to our question, there's one thing I need to bring up, and I wish we had more time to talk about it. But we were introduced to you by a mutual friend, Opinionated Ogre, who I know is in the chat. And
Love
I
him.
understand that you have known our dear friend Ogre for a long time.
Yes.
that you are responsible. He said you're the reason he writes, I believe. I'm paraphrasing.
Oh, that's such an honor to hear. I mean, he's
It's,
one of the best for
he
sure.
really
And I
is.
Really
wish I
is.
had half of his passion for being in this ongoing shovel fight over democracy. He's, opinionated
Yes.
ogre. Absolutely. If you're not following him on Substack, get
He,
your ass over there and subscribe.
he is my favorite because there's so many people out there kind of swearing and in a ball of fury, which we all are, but he does it
Yeah.
in such a smart way where
Yes.
Hmm.
it's clever and really insightful and
Yeah.
also angry. I love it.
Oh,
We
yes.
need like one bit of hot goss about Ogre. Anything you can share from back in the day, a funny story that will embarrass Ogre a little bit.
Oh God, boy, that's a really good question.
He's put little
Come on,
like
Bob. I need something because Ogre literally has never missed an opportunity to refer to me as the old gay guy. He's like, Dana and the old gay guy.
Well,
we
I will
love
tell
you,
you this.
Ogre.
Over at the Banter, we definitely miss his presence over there. I've been blogging for, well, first it was the Daily Banter, now it's called The Banter. And when we lost him over there, that was a huge absence. You can feel I think the gravitational pull of that site shifted because of his absence. So maybe one of these days he'll come over and hang out with us over on the Banter, thebanter.substack.com. Yeah.
Nice, nice.
Thank
He
you.
says, I was terrified of Ches or cheese, Ches.
Ches. Oh yeah, Ches. Right. Yeah. He was my podcast partner from 2011 through his death in early 2017. And he was also a contributor to the Daily Banter, the Banter. And he was, I always compare him just for everybody's reference because it's been many years since we lost him. But he was like our own personal Anthony Bourdain. I felt like he was cut from the same cloth as Bourdain, and so he was outspoken, smart as hell, funny as hell. He was that cool older brother that I never had, and to be friends with him, to be close with him was quite an honor. And I think opinionated ogre and I both were greatly influenced by knowing Ches Pazienza was his name, and that guy. Ches was a producer for CNN. He was a producer for MSNBC, and
Wow.
a hell of a great writer, and just a really good guy. And I think I think he had a lot of trouble dealing with the existence of Donald Trump on the national stage, and he ended up slipping into old addictions, and which finally got to the best of him. But yeah, I
I'm
mean,
so sorry.
the loss of Ches, I always blame Donald for that. It was
Wow.
a significant
Another
loss.
reason,
There are
another
many.
reason to loathe that man. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, many good people. We've lost many good people in this fight for democracy, and Ches was one of the big ones.
Wow.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Um, so much loss from this man. It's just maddening.
Honestly.
Yeah.
We do have one question we always like to ask when folks come on our show the first time, and we're going to ask it quickly now. And I have a feeling you're going to just hit this out of the ballpark. It's a very serious, hard-hitting question. I'm queuing it up. Do you want to ask this time, Lawrence?
Yeah. Well, so Bob, you may be Gen X, you may be elder millennial. I can't quite tell.
Gen X.
But
I'm
all right,
1971. I'm a totally
Okay, so you're
right
one of us.
squarely mid Gen X. Yep.
All right, us too. So, what is the greatest Gen X song of all time?
Oh, that's easy. Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears.
Okay, nice.
Here we go.
I think that's the third person who's picked that one.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I thought I was really going out on a limb with a pop song from the 80s, but yeah, that's
No, that's perfect.
That
that's
is
wheelhouse.
a brilliant choice. Yes.
yeah. I mean, there are 3 songs from the 80s, pop songs specifically, that I think are the greatest songs of that decade, which is
Let's hear it.
squarely Gen X. Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears.
Yes.
Power of Love by Huey Lewis and the News.
Oh.
And Take Me Home by Phil Collins is one of my favorites too.
Nice.
But also,
That was
I'm also really into all the metal, the heavy metal that was in the '80s, and certainly I'm a big fan of progressive rock, and yeah, but those songs.
What's a metal choice for that?
Iron Maiden.
Okay,
I'm a big fan of Iron Maiden for sure.
nice.
And that was kind of my entry point into progressive rock, believe it or not. And with the Iron Maiden, progressive rock. Well,
Yeah.
Iron
Prog
Maiden
rock, like Yes, and like prog
yeah,
prog rock.
Yes, Rush, Genesis, things like
Uh-huh.
that. Yeah, those are my
Okay.
faves. Yeah, top shelf for me.
Love it.
Brilliant. Oh
I
my God. We really do need to make a playlist at some point, Dana. Like we've gotten so many good songs from our
Right.
guests.
If only ChatGPT could be sophisticated enough to be like, please go scan the like 200
Right.
episodes
Every episode.
and
Yeah.
go pull out just the song picks that people
Oh
read at
yeah,
the
that's a
end.
great idea.
That
Yeah,
would be useful, but very niche. We're just gonna have to do it up here. But
Right.
yeah.
those are great picks.
We
No
only
one
need
has
another
said
$3 trillion invested in high-end data centers and power generation to
to
make that
get our
happen,
80s
Dana. That's it.
playlist. Yes, that's what we
That's right.
need. Um, to me, the like ultimate Gen X song is one where it's like a dog whistle. It comes on and Gen Xers and Gen Xers alone are like moo, and they
Yeah.
respond, and so they're kind of forgotten to other generations, or at least they don't respond the same way. And Huey Lewis is like deep in it for that. Like
Oh yes.
there
Yeah,
has
for
been no
sure.
big resurgence of Huey Lewis, but if you were alive and like musically aware in that era, of course I would pick. The Power of Love is more iconic and was bigger, but I love If This Is It. That I
Oh
think it's.
yeah, yeah,
Do you
Yeah.
remember that
yeah.
song? Please let me know.
But
It's
what
such
I
a good
like about
song.
your picks, Bob, is
Yeah.
they absolutely they do that thing that Dana's talking about, where if you played either one of those songs in a room full of people where there were Gen X folks, only the Gen X heads would pop up and start belting "Power of Love" or
Yeah.
"Take
Oh
Me
yeah,
Home,"
yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah. Well, here's one that I just thought of that is absolutely. In fact, I may have to revise my answer. "Don't You Forget About Me" by
oh
Simple
yeah,
Yes.
Minds is because of its connection with The Breakfast Club, which to me is the quintessential Gen
Yes.
X
for
movie.
sure.
Oh, well, if you're a white Gen Xer, it's
Yes.
white people in that movie, and that song I think represents so much of what it was like to be a Gen Xer in the '80s and junior high, high school, in that world, and coming of age and finding our
Totally,
place.
like kind of upbeat, but also kind of melancholic.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's
Living
all
in the
about
shadow of.
forgetting and estrangement and
Yep.
loss. Yeah,
Right, and existing in the shadow of the boomer generation,
yeah.
and what's
Right.
our generation going to represent? What's going to be our thing, and finding our place. Yeah, that song I think in particular is so utterly iconic as a Gen X anthem.
The movie and the song. When you were talking about the things that we quote at the beginning, that it's The Simpsons or it's Star Trek or it's The Breakfast. I almost jumped in and said, or
Yeah,
it's The Breakfast Club.
For sure.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
it's
great point.
demented and sad, but social.
Right.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or
And
various
then,
John Hughes movies, right?
yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like The Breakfast Club is the most quotable of those old John Hughes movies, and maybe the least objectionable now, because 16 Candles,
True.
whoo, don't go back and watch that.
Oh
Made the
yeah. There's
mistake of
some
showing it to my
problematic things in some of
daughters.
those movies. Yeah.
Oh my
For sure.
God, that one is like, oh yeah, just a little date rape, honey. Just ignore that. It was
Ugh,
the 80s. We had to accept that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
gross.
Yeah, it was pretty gross.
Bob,
But
this
so
has been
great.
so much fun. Thank you so much for coming
Oh,
on and
thank
hanging out
you.
with us today.
Yes,
Oh,
and
it's been a
Ogre,
pleasure.
thank
Thank
you
you
for
so
the
much.
introduction.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you to Opinionated Ogre for bringing us together for sure. And I didn't know that you guys knew Cliff Schechter and the Blue Amp
Yeah.
world.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
We're both working for Blue Amp, and yeah, we know Fred Pogue. Like there's
Oh yeah, I
circles
know
on
Fred
circles
Pogue. Yeah, I
here.
mean we know a lot of the same people.
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
do.
Fred and Opinionated Ogre and Cliff and
Yep.
yeah,
These
David
are like
Schuster.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're like canon. I mean, Cliff Schecter is going to be on Wednesday. Fred Pogue was on last Wednesday. Like
Right.
oh that's great.
deep
Yeah, I've got Fred
cuts.
on. I mean, I've got Cliff on my show on a regular basis too. So
Yep.
yeah, I've been working with Cliff for 20 something years now. We met through the Huffington Post, and which is now called HuffPost,
Of
and
Toast, yeah.
we've been friends and colleagues. We've worked on so many different projects, ads and blogs
Wow.
and podcasts, and yeah.
Do you know Noah Michelson over at HuffPost?
No, I don't. In fact, I know very few people. I don't know if Peter Finicaro is still over there, but anyway, I know very few people from Huffington Post anymore. It's not
Yeah,
the same place it was 20
Right.
years ago, for sure.
it is not. And he's
Yeah.
their like feature memoir editor. And I've pitched him many times and he's always so nice. He's like, I love your writing. This is beautiful. I can't use it, but I hope you find a great place for it.
Oh,
One of these
right.
days I'm gonna have a story in HuffPost. Although I haven't
Yeah.
tried in a year. I should probably get on that. But we should probably let everyone get
We
back
should
to
let
their
everyone go.
weeks, their Mondays. Thank you guys so
All right.
much for joining us. We have got Terry Lee, who will be on the show tomorrow. We hope to see you all there. Please, let's do the YouTube thing. Please click subscribe. I realize we never say that, Lawrence. Please subscribe to the Daily Whatever Show, to Bob Cesca, to Ogre. Thank you guys all for being here. Thank you, Bob. This has been such a great way to kick off the week.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. Love you,
Love you,
mean it.
mean it.
Bye.
Bye.